This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to our Delvista Road Maintenance Open Board meeting. As a reminder, I will create an expectation. I normally like to create an expectation as to what we can expect from our board meeting today. I will be placing all participants on mute based on some feedback that I received from the last meeting. I generally like to leave it on so that we can have more engaging conversations, but I will be muting everyone so you can know that everyone is actually mute, other than, in addition to, of course, recommending that you mute yourself so that your side conversations are not recorded or not involved in this meeting. But as an FYI, I am muting everyone.
Okay, so I don't have to do anything on my phone.
Well, I recommend that you mute, because if you don't have to, but I recommend to be, let's say, for example, if you have something personal going on at home, you may not want us to know that you're watching a soap opera. So
No, I'm with you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so
I don't even.
But okay. All right. So let me go ahead and create an continue with the expectation of what you can expect from today's meeting. Today's meeting corresponds to Delvista Road Maintenance, and Delvista Road Maintenance, as for those who are new, pertains to the parcel of lawn that actually covers the security area from the entrance of the property up to the parking lot, up to the east or northeast of Delvista towards the front of the building, and then also to the on the road, the paved road, whenever you're doing exercise, that takes you all around almost to the very end at the parking lot, where you may see a fire pump hydrant as to how far you can go. So that's the purview of this meeting. Anything that lies within that purview, anything that actually is out of this purview that relates to the townhouses or to Delvista Towers Association would be something that you would need to be addressed with those appropriate boards. So am I cleared with the expectation there? Anything else that we need to add, Luis or Regina, in terms of creating expectation for a meeting? Okay. Can you hear me, or do I have you all mute? Oh, can you hear me, Regina? Luis? Okay, you're all mute. Okay, good.
I unmuted. Okay.
Perfect. Right. Okay. Was there anything else I needed to add in terms of the expectation of the purview of the meeting, Luis?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. Regina? Okay. And now, for those of you who perhaps are listening for the first time, we have on this on the board meeting today, my name is Paul Warren. I am the current president, and we have on this conference with us, we have Louise Roderick, who is the secretary and the director. She has been a very senior director for this entity for many, many, many years. Louise, I always recommend giving an introduction, because we never know, we may have new residents or persons who are actually watching this afterwards and not familiar with who we are. Anything you'd like to say, Louise, introduce yourself?
Good afternoon. Well, actually, it's good evening. My name is Louise Rudnick. It's not many, many years. It's only 2 sessions or 2 terms on the road maintenance, and I consider it an honor to be a part of this group.
Thank you, Louise. Regina Feingold is also a director of both this board and also the Towers board. She has been a member of this board also for, I won't say many years. Based on what Luis said, I will choose my words carefully and say a director. She's a very seasoned director. Regina. Regina, hello. Regina, she was just here. She perhaps got we lost her when she was perhaps attempting to open that email. Okay, so
Yes.
yes, so those are the persons who are actually presiding in this meeting today. Now we will move into our agenda. If you have a copy of the agenda that was actually emailed to you or that was posted on your bulletin board.
Paul, we have a quorum?
Yes, we have a quorum. That's what I was covering. Yes.
How
Between
many,
myself, I'm sorry. Good.
how many board members you got there?
That myself, Regina, and Luis, the three of us.
How many you need? 3 or 4?
We
3.
need three of us because
Okay,
based on the
that's
size. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're not. Yeah. Good question, Danny. Thank you so much. So we will go into the agenda of our meeting, and as a reminder, that the agenda is posted in advance so that homeowners can actually have an idea of what will be discussed, and this is as it's regulated according to Florida Statute 718, and also as a part of the open full disclosure sunshine law of providing full disclosure to homeowners so people can know what's going on with their affairs. So having said that, I wanted to also provide that pre-disclosure to those who are listening or to those who will be participating, that whatever we discuss today needs to be something that's on this agenda. If your question is not related to something that's on this agenda, at the very end of the agenda, we do have a new business where we can actually parking lot, and depending on what the topic is, if it's not something that goes in a total different direction within the time slot, we can actually head in that direction, or we can table it for the next meeting. Okay, are we clear in terms of expectations? Great. Okay, so now that we have an established quorum, do we have our affidavits approved by Luis?
You mean the posting?
Yes, please.
The posting was completed. It was emailed with a blast, and it was posted on the bulletin board by the elevators.
Okay, so that's our affidavits approved posting. So we are legally able to proceed, correct?
As far as I know. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, that's the purpose of the affidavit of posting, to make sure that every homeowners or participant was given the opportunity to be advised of this meeting. So heading into the agenda, we will move on to the approval of the minutes of the last minutes. Now, I have a copy of the last minutes, Luis, but Luis, as secretary, would you like to do us the honor to read it? This, so that I think you probably do a much better job than I do.
I can't speak to that, but yes, I'll be most happy to read it.
Thank you so much.
This is the meeting of the Delvista Road Maintenance Board meeting, July 21st, 2020. It was a virtual go-to meeting. Paul Warren called the meeting to order at 7:07 p.m. Proof of posting was demonstrated. A quorum was established. In attendance was Paul Warren, Carl Berkins, Mariano Magro, Louise Rudnick, and Regina Goldbein. Paul Warren explained the expectations of the meeting and that only Delvista road maintenance items were appropriate for discussion. Approval of the minutes from the 2 past board meetings was requested. Carl Berkins requested they be read. Paul Warren read the minutes from the April 27th, 2020 meeting. There were no objections or corrections, and they were approved. He then read the minutes from the May 21st, 2020 meeting. There were no objections or corrections, and they were approved. A discussion ensued regarding the hiring of a manager and administrative assistant. Paul Warren reiterated that he would not have any conversations regarding DRM business with any director outside of a board meeting in order to preserve transparency. The current manager and administrative assistant, as well as the technical support assistant, had indicated dissatisfaction with the current workload and requested a written document outlining the expected responsibilities and compensation. The possibility of hiring an additional manager and assistant was rejected as being inappropriate and financially difficult. It was decided to create an addendum document detailing the responsibilities and compensation of the current staff to be reviewed, approved at a future meeting. It was then requested to define to whom the stated personnel would report to. It was suggested that the administrative assistant and the technical support assistant would report to the manager, and the manager would report to the presidents of Delvista Towers and Delvista Road Maintenance Associations. A motion was made by Mariano Magro to proceed with the above, and the motion was seconded by Regina Goldfein. The next item on the agenda was dismissed as the changing of the bank account signatures was already in progress. Louise Rudnick made a motion to adjourn the meeting. The motion was seconded by Regina Goldfarb. Fine, pardon me. The meeting was adjourned by Paul Warren at 8:30 p.m.
Thank you so much, Louise.
My pleasure. Yeah.
Okay. So for does anyone has any corrections or any objections to the minutes? Louise, did we get Regina back?
Regina? No, I'm afraid we don't. Oh dear.
Oh dear. Okay.
No, I've got.
I wonder if she's aware that she's not on either.
Regina, check in, please.
Okay, because it's right now it's just stuck with you and I, and we
and
need
Danny.
someone.
Regina?
Okay. We need someone to actually take a.
Okay, well, let's see. There's two of us. I make a motion to approve the minutes as read.
Okay. And
second it.
I will go ahead and actually accept your motion as it
Okay,
is.
so Louise made the motion and Paul seconded it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Gina, where are you?
Regina, is Regina there or not?
We seem to have.
She was on.
Regina, I don't know if Regina vote. Did Regina vote?
No, we had Regina on, but Regina, we seem to have lost her.
So how you can continue? Call her on the phone. This is becoming a joke, man. No, not him. Not him.
Well, we can't take a vote on it. We don't have a live quorum.
Would somebody please call her on the phone who has her number?
I can't. I've got the phone on here.
Let me try and hold 1 second here. Let me see.
Yeah. Hey, Regina, it's Louise. Can you get back on?
Were you able to get her?
Turn off. Have you got anything on? Paul, is she muted? She says she hears everything. She just can't. We can't hear her.
Nope. Unmute all.
Says you're unmuted. We can't. Try again. Go ahead. I'm going to hang up. You heard everything. Yeah, but we need your voice. Okay. She's going to try and call us back again and join again.
Thank you, Louise. Okay, so until we had that, I'm sorry. Who was that? Hello?
Nothing.
Okay, I think I heard someone.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so it's just you and
Beep. I heard something beep. Yeah.
Okay, so until we get her back, we are going to go ahead and proceed. So, and then we'll return to this to the approval of the minutes. So we'll table this back until we have a quorum to continue for the approval of the minutes and move on. The next thing we have on the agenda is that we have correspondences. So we'll go through the correspondences that we do have. The correspondences that we have after the board meeting that we had on July 21st, we did receive a letter from a resident that actually listened to the, is that Regina?
Yes, hello. Can you hear me now?
Regina. Yes, now we have you back. Thank you so much.
Okay. Oh my goodness. I heard Louise read the minutes. They sounded okay to me, but I had a question about the bank accounts if you transferred them, and then no one heard me. No,
Okay,
I didn't get a response.
Yeah, we couldn't hear you. We couldn't hear you at all.
Okay.
So
what are we up to? I
so
asked
what
if
we needed after, if based on what you're saying, we were at the part of the meeting where we needed someone to actually make a motion on the minutes that was presented by Louise.
Okay.
I
so
made a motion and
You
Paul
made a
seconded
motion?
it.
Okay.
So we need to take a vote.
Yes, I agree. I accept them. If they're all in order and then there's no objection, they're fine.
Excellent. Great.
Excellent.
So, motion is
Okay. All right, don't lose me anymore.
Thank you so much. Well, in this day of age with technology as it is, we'll be as accommodating as possible.
Okay.
Thank you so much. It's okay, Regina. It's okay. All right. So we had moved on to the next item on the agenda, which is the correspondence, and I was giving an update to the meeting attendees that we had in fact received a feedback from a new owner who actually listened to the board meeting from the blast that was sent by Vanessa. And the homeowner had some recommendations and had some feedbacks. That was from a Mr. Kazmirski. That was the correspondence from that resident. And I did reply to him, advising him that we appreciated his feedback and welcoming him to the Delvista family, and advising him that in the future, I will mute all participants so as to ensure that the sound quality is much better, and also responded to him in details in reference to some of the issues he brought up in the correspondences in reference to the custodial chain of custody that we have in locating records in the office. Are there any questions on this correspondence? Okay. Next correspondence that we had received a letter of an email, in fact, of resignation from Director Margot that was sent to the board. His resignation was dated on September 1st, 12:38 p.m., effectively resigning from the board of Delvista Road Maintenance. Any questions? Next
Can
correspondence.
Can
Yes,
you
please.
read please his resignation letter? I want to know why he resigned.
Okay. The letter states, it says, this was in reply to a letter. His resignation letter was sent as a reply to a proposal that I had for the agenda, and his request that I give more information and have a discussion about the agenda prior to the meeting. And my response to him was, the purpose of the meeting is for us to have a discussion at the meeting so that we can have our discussions on record. So he responded and said here, hi Alberto, hi and Paul, you don't need to include me, nor I wish to be included in your private conversations. Also, it's not necessary to include Singford Rivera that charges us by the hour to read your profuse writing. This is starting to feel like harassment, other than being utterly ridiculous. If the president of the board wants to discuss a topic in a meeting, it's of the most elementary common sense to tell the what that is, compelled to discuss the particular issue and provide a little bit of background. From what was requested, from that request, we got to the accusation of agenda being illegally hijacked. Paul, your actions and proposals are of very low relevance, lacking of the most elemental common sense and productive purpose. Yet I recognize your commitment to DRM. It is unfortunate that such a fruitful manner, and it's sad to witness how you are dragging other people to waste the limited time we're giving to achieve non-common benefit. I realize that I won't be able to agree with you in practically anything, so please take note of my resignation to the board of DRM Association, effective as of this moment. Thank you, Marianne. Questions? Okay. And his letter was basically in response to correspondence. I said, if you wish not to be included, please advise me of your change of status from directorship to private residence, and I will promptly accommodate your request, sir. Mr. Margo, it is instrumental that you so loudly vocalize your protest about any legal cost incurred by the association's members and directors as applicable for actions that were without any reasonable violations of the Florida statutes and ordinances. Yet you are silent and therefore are an accessory to these violations and any actions that are potentially criminal to be determined. The association's law firm is engaged to represent third parties and entities to benefit the association, not yours or any other directors, past or present. Anything contrary to the before said would be a violation of one of the canons of ethics of the Florida Bar. It would do you good to read the FS Statute 718 from beginning to end. The statute requires us to hold these and any such applicable discussions with a director's quorum in either open or closed meetings with prior notice to owners. Unfortunately, I cannot support your suggestions to violate the laws, as I wish not to expose my personal assets to legal exposure for a willful, intentional negligence violation of any federal statutes or any potential crimes if applicable. Nevertheless, I strongly invite you to attend the board meeting as a director if you wish to continue as same or as a private resident, and state your comments and concerns for the records. End of that correspondences. Any questions? It's a long correspondence. It's a lot of these. And moving on to the final correspondence that we have. We're getting a lot of mail. We had received another letter of resignation, and this one was dated on September the 4th. It says, "Good morning, Mr. Warren. Please be advised that as of today, Mr. Dush, Alexander Pena, and Vanessa Pena are residing from Delvista Road Maintenance. Please discuss with Delvista Towers Board of Directors as to how you wish to accommodate you in the future regarding personal staff or any questions or concerns." And that was on September 4 at 11:20 p.m. And that's the end of correspondences. Any questions?
Let me ask a question. That resignation by Ms. Pena and the manager, is that valid? And how can they resign from Delvista Road Management while they're still employed by Delvista Condominium Owners Association, since the two organizations are legally wedded together?
That's a very valid question, Judge Millian. I did respond to the sender of the email, added to the fact that the email was actually written by an agent of the Towers Board, which is Vanessa. It wasn't sent from the directors of the Towers Association. I defer to the directors who are actually members of this board for that question, please. Louise, Regina.
I'm putting back a mic.
Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
we can hear you, Regina. I defer the questions. I'm deferring the questions to be addressed by you and Louise. The question from
What is the
Judge.
question?
Well, his question was the fact that the resignation letter was sent by an agent of the Delvista Towers board. The employee saying that they are resigning from providing services to Delvista Road maintenance while remaining in the employ of Delvista Towers Association. And as the association documents are drafted with all three organizations merged together, the question was it legal?
Was what legal? That
Was it
the
legal?
administrator signed a letter?
Was it legal for the administrator's notification that they are resigning from providing services to Delvista Road maintenance?
Okay, and Paul asked me to respond. Hi, Al.
Well,
Go
ahead,
ahead,
Louise.
Peter.
I'm sorry.
No, please continue.
I can't respond intelligently because I don't have all the facts. I mean, they resigned. They work for Delvista, the Towers, and the Towers has most of the votes. What is it, 87%? I just got on the road maintenance in February, so I'm really not too familiar. So if you could help us out, Louise, I'd appreciate it.
My end will be with the understanding that I am not prepared to give any real information on this, that there will be a personnel meeting at some time in the very near future in which this will be resolved.
Okay. Thank you.
President Warren, let me ask you a question. If they pay 13%,
thank you, Louise.
Budget,
You're
does that
welcome.
mean that they have resigned 13% of their salary? And how can they resign from two entities that are inextricably intertwined without resigning their job? I mean, this is like an employee telling you they're only going to fulfill a portion of their job, but they're resigning from the rest of their obligations. This makes no sense whatsoever, except as a feeble attempt to try to sabotage the Delvista Road Maintenance Organization. Has anybody sought a legal opinion? How can two employees resign from a portion of their responsibilities and insist on getting paid for the rest of their responsibilities?
Again, I defer to Louise. I defer to you.
Okay, and I'm going to say again, I do not have the information that you are seeking. It will, I assume, be forthcoming very shortly, and that I think that this subject perhaps ought to be tabled until that's available.
I agree.
A question I have in response to that question, answer, Louise, is in the interim, how does the association functions?
It will function exactly how it as it has before.
So meaning that you're saying that the resignation is null and void pending your
That would be my
resignation
opinion.
follow-up?
That would be my opinion. It has not been accepted, and everything will continue until, as a group, between the road maintenance and the towers, it is resolved in a better manner, more formally, and etc. Exactly. I have no other answer at the moment, except we will get together and take care of this.
Okay, so I'm not trying to put. I want to make sure I fully understand. I'm not putting words in your mouth. What I'm understanding is that pending the resolution that is pending, this notification that was actually presented upon Delvista Road Maintenance is actually invalid or null and void.
I don't know. I don't put words in my mouth, but it has not been accepted by road maintenance or the towers.
But let me interject here. This is an act of insubordination. For over 2 decades that I lived at Delvista, the two functions have been inextricably intertwined. Funds have been commingled for maintenance. Now you have two employees that are saying they refuse to fulfill their obligations. I know, Louise, you're saying that this is going to be handled at some future date. When and how? And how do we allow this? How do we allow this dereliction and insubordination to stand? If they want to resign, they have an absolute right to resign, but they cannot pick and choose. They accepted those conditions of employment. They've accepted and performed in those conditions. Now they are saying unilaterally and arbitrarily, we are resigning our duties and responsibilities. So when is this meeting going to be held? And why would we allow two employees to dictate what they will do and not do, either from DRM or the Delvista Condominium Owners Association? Do you have an answer for that?
Well, I have no answer. You're putting me up against the wall, and this is a very, very, we didn't come here to fight, Al. We're trying to resolve all these issues, and you don't stop fighting. Can we talk? Can we just, come to some conclusion? This is not going to go anyplace.
But you just said there is no conclusion. You provided no answer, Regina, and quite frankly, Louise said it's going to be dealt with in a personnel meeting.
Okay.
You've had two employees, wait a minute. You've had two employees that are getting paid at least a significant part of their salaries and their benefits by DRM. This is not about fighting. I don't know of any business, small or large, that can stand for an employee saying, I hereby resign from part of my duties, but I expect to get paid for 100% of my salaries and benefits. You're talking about fighting. This is not fighting. And you're on the board there. You have no answers. Have you made any inquiries with the attorneys? Have you made any inquiries with anybody about the legal status? This has already gone on for over a week. And right now we're being told, your employees are dictating to you what they will or will not do. That's not fighting. That's an absence of answers. And you call it fighting? I call it a failure to provide answers to legitimate problems that have been presented. Now, Louise said about a personnel board meeting. I don't know what a personnel board meeting. I don't know there's a personnel board at either DRM or the Delvista Condominiums Owners Association. And I served on the board on 3 separate occasions. So for you to deflect it and saying it's fighting, it's demanding some answers and transparency. Do you have an answer for that?
Well, Paul, when you received the letter, did you inquire as to what the circumstances were?
When I received the letter, Regina, I responded to the writers of the letters, and I copied you and the Towers board, advising them that this notification is based on the structure of the association is illegal, because the association's documents would need to be amended at a general association's meeting. So, and I copied the association's attorneys who are actually schooled in procedures, because the problem is, as a correction, Judge, you said this was like a few weeks. This has been actually, in fact, going on since we lost the property manager in May. So we lost the property manager. We had a new property manager who was actually not covering the responsibilities under 718. So the entity, the DRM portfolio has been unsupervised by a 718 required manager since June of this year. And the assistant, Vanessa, was the person that was actually, although not legally allowed to manage the portfolio today. Notwithstanding, I was still sent a resignation letters again saying that Mr. Dush, that's the new property manager, and both assistants are resigning from the entity. So I am at a loss. So, added to the fact that one of the pending issues, one of the pending items had on the agenda.
Hello, you're breaking up. You're breaking up.
Added to the fact that one of the next item we had on the agenda was
Hold on, Paul. Hold on, please. Let me ask you guys a question. We are a joint venture with the townhouses. We're collecting money from the townhouses. Now you're telling me we don't have a property manager with a license managing this association. We're collecting money. Who is responsible for the money?
With dogs talking. What is going on here?
Well, what Daniel is saying.
Paul, this is Regina. There's so much going on in the background. The question.
Okay. Can you hear me? I just muted everyone. Let me unmute. Regina, I unmuted. Regina?
Yes.
Yes. What he was actually saying was, according to the statute, the entity must be managed by someone that has a license, and we have allowed the entity to be unmanaged by a manager since June of this year. And the entity, which is Delvista Road Maintenance, we are actually collecting maintenance both from towers and from the townhouses owners to provide management services according to the letters of the statute, meaning that the towers provides the custodial services for the records and whatever requests that needs to be provided to townhouse owners and to towers owners according to the statutes, within the statute's applicable time, disclosure. So these are things that are managed and regulated by the statute. So his question is, in fact, like, since we have allowed the entity to be managed, to be, well, operating without someone that's responsible for it, as should be,
with a license.
June, without a license, correct, which is basically a violation. We, at this point, this is a continued violation because it happened in June, and we had a board meeting that we were going to correct it, in which there was going to be a memorandum of understanding to correct the issue. And instead of correcting the issue, we have in fact made it worse, in which we have gone from from a licensed manager to an unlicensed manager to no manager at all, while we are actually in fact collecting revenues from both townhouse residents and from the association, with a purview for the security, with responsibility for the whatever happens at the gate. So we have gone to the, so we are actually in a situation that's actually libelous, because the entities should be managed by someone that's actually overseeing the portfolio and not choosing whether or not they're covering landscaping, or whether or not they're covering security, or whether or not they're covering just what happens at the security house. It's a complex issue which can get messy. So that's his question. If I summarize, it's pretty messy. Regina, if I did I explain myself there?
Basically, what I'm saying, this operated illegal, and you have liability issue and financial issue, and we can get the problem with the townhouses. Somebody should call things to right away, hire a manager, licensed manager, put it on the board, and let's vote for it. If no, I like to close these things, everything go to escrow, nobody touch and nobody receive anything.
Yeah, well, and I hear you, Daniel, and the members of the board who are actually members of Towers, they're actually members of this board also, and the expectation is that they will.
Forget about Paul. Excuse me, 1 second.
Yes.
1 second. 1 second.
Yes.
Forget about the tower, the tower association. Forget about completely. Somebody have to put a motion on the table right now to hire immediately a licensed manager, because all of your guys right now operating illegal.
Okay, so Daniel, I'll take your suggestion on the advice. I'm going to table this for new business, and I will follow up with the association's attorneys to figure out how we navigate out of this this legal danger zone that we're in, that we're operating for violations.
Louise and Regina, right now you have employees that accepted terms of employment covering DRM who are now refusing to comply with the terms of their employment. What I think Daniel's trying to tell you is that by them resigning unilaterally their responsibilities, they have become insubordinate and exposed both the Delvista Condominium Owners Association as well as DRM to liability. And they cannot do that. You cannot have an employee say, I'm going to do this, but not that. I refuse to accept what I accepted originally. They're dictating to the boards right now what they will or will not do. Are you prepared to assume the liability for their insubordination and refusing to perform their duties as registered under the original terms of employment, and letting us, Condominium Owners Association of Delvista, become liable for their refusal to complete their jobs? That's why I think this is critical. This is not a matter of tabling it and putting it off for another meeting.
Al, you're putting this way out of conjecture. They are employees of the towers. They are completing their duties as required, which includes servicing the Delvista Road maintenance. They are not and have never been employees of Delvista Road maintenance, even though there were some people that thought they were and were ordering them around. That is all. And as far as I'm concerned, that's my last statement on it.
Well, that may be your last statement on it, but the truth of the matter is, if you look back over 2 decades, they have been fulfilling those obligations, and that was part of their terms of employment. Now they're arbitrarily saying, well, we refuse to perform our duties
They
as
did
part of
not
the
say
road
that.
maintenance. Yes, they
They are,
resigned. What does
they,
that mean?
they,
Do you want to interpret that? Would you interpret that for us, Luis?
I'm going to do it one more time, Al. They are not employees of Delvista Road Maintenance. Their jobs are Delvista Towers, which includes Delvista Road Maintenance. They resigned from nothing.
What did they resign from? If they're resigning, they wrote a letter of resignation to the president of DRM, and they are getting paid from funds that are derived from DRM. Luis, I don't hear you say anything. They are getting paid in part, at least from 13% of the funds that are being derived from homeowners that are dependent upon us.
The money goes basically, they are being paid by Delvista Road Towers. That's who they are continuing to do all their jobs, including Friday, handling the checks and everything else that was required.
They cannot unilaterally, based on their contractual obligations, say we are not going to take care of anything with DRM. This
So
is
then
part
you
and
have to
parcel
take
of
it
the
up with the
budget that we
manager.
have. This is part and parcel of the budget that we have. I don't see how you are somehow saying that this letter of resignation of not servicing DRM is in any way legally or contractually valid.
I'm not saying it's contractually valid, nor am I saying it's legal. They wrote it, and that's there's nothing we can do about it. They wrote it. They are
Why?
doing duties. They are
So,
continuing and do their position as required, including anything that has to do with Delvista Road maintenance,
The
which
contention
includes
the
of
contention is
Friday. And
Not a
that's it.
problem.
the contention.
How the Vista Road and Maintenance legally active since we don't have a manager, a licensed manager? We need immediately licensed manager to do any transaction or any work.
So
How we paying the security and the guardhouse with checks? It's illegal been done. This operation, it's illegal operated right now if we don't have a licensed manager.
Danny dear, I'm going to say it one more time. Delvista Road Maintenance has no employees. They are all employees of the Towers Association. All duties are being continued.
Luis, I think the point of contention here is who provides the payroll services for the security officers in the security booth?
It is done through Delvista Road Maintenance.
Okay, but who provides?
87, I believe it, 87.4 of all funding comes through the towers.
It comes through the towers, but it's paid from whom? From what entity?
As far as the payroll that goes through, I have
Yeah.
not handled it. I do know that there was just a stipend that was given to the to Vanessa, Alex, and the manager.
No,
They
okay.
do all their duties.
My question is actually in terms of for the security guards, from who payrolls the security guards at the gate?
That's
It
elite
is
guard,
done.
isn't it, Louise?
Yes, as far as I know, yes.
That's the leak, but the
That would be
contracting,
elite guard.
but the
And
contracting
that's with our
elite guard,
contract, yeah.
the contracting with elite guard, with whom is that with?
Who is the
Security company.
Who is the security company? Elite Guard for the gatehouse is contract with the Delvista Tower or with the Delvista Road and Maintenance?
Didn't you review the budget?
They register with the Delvista Road and Maintenance
Regina,
because they serve
Louise,
the
am I
town
wrong,
as a
dear?
street.
Regina, he's
Louise?
asking a question. Who does the payrolling? So, because the premise of the question, which is basically a question, basically for food for thought, is that the administrative staff in the management office, they handle the payrolling and support for the personnel within the security within the booth. The 87% that's funded from towers and the rest from TownHouse. That combines together, that covers the salary for the security guards inside the booth, and that funding covers the insurance, the liability, the workers' comp, etc. for the booth. So what we have actually in fact have is we have a situation in which the management office is basically choosing what they wish to do. They are choosing to take purview over the security premises, which and in so claiming it, insisting that they have an 87% shares, and then therefore the rest of the responsibilities they will not support, which is a problem, which is untenable, because the documents of the association does not allow such a unilateral or unregulated choice of managing the entity. If there is any such decision if there is any such decision for this to be done, it has to be done in a situation that's actually regulated, in terms of having the documents of the association redraft and having the entities separated, and then having towers having a separate entrance to the property by surrendering whatever shares it has in road maintenance. And there's no need for us to go down that route. So this is food for thought in my opinion, for the directors for towers to go back and figure out what was their intention in having this done, because the management staff of towers did this at the bequest of the board of directors who hired them of Delvista Towers. And the employees and what the participants of the scholars are saying is it's untenable to have employees choosing what they want, what the job description should be, what purviews they will cover, what areas they will cover, that they will cover the security booth, that they're taking ownership and full custodial control of the cameras and the booth, but that's it. There is no such document, there is no such legal structure for that, and it's untenable, and it's placing us in a precarious situation. Not to mention the fact that we are actually we're proceeding in a dangerous direction, in which the entities, Delvista Road Maintenance, is not being managed by a licensed manager. And if someone makes a request for any custodial requests, Delvista Towers through Delvista Road will be responsible in terms of the fulfilling the regulatory requirements. So I think that's what the participants are trying to say.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
The money we receive from the townhouse, to which account it goes? To the Delvista Tower or to the Delvista Road Maintenance?
Delvista Road Maintenance.
Okay.
Yes.
And who paid the guard, and how the Delvista Tower getting the 13% of the townhouse to pay the guard? Basically, what I'm telling you guys right now, we operate illegal. We have to put an emotion on the table right now. We need immediately a manager, a licensed manager to manage this place. No money can move them. Something happen, if they're going to call an audit or something, we operate illegal.
I agree.
Well, Regina and Luis, you both are on the board of the Delvista Condominium Owners Association, and you just had two employees insubordinately tell you that they're not going to fulfill part of the obligations that they have been. The road maintenance organization has been making a reliance on those services. We're being open to liability, not only under 718, but also from the townhouse owners. Make a motion right now, either fire them both for insubordination or take some action so that we can defend at least the homeowners association and saying, listen, this was not authorized. If they refuse to do part of their job, they're out of here. They're out of here because they're opening us to liability. We can't let two employees tell us we will or will not do what we don't want to do for whatever the reasons may be. All I know is the letter that Paul read, but ultimately they are basically telling us, they're dictating to you and to the board of directors what they're going to do. This is not a question of tabling it and putting it off for another day. This is a real problem day to day, and action has to be taken.
So it's on the floor. The two directors here from Towers, Luis and Regina.
I want to table it because we have to, the Towers will take care of it, that board. And I don't have all my officers with me and directors, and I can't answer for them. So we'll have to table it.
Here's a question with that though, Regina. It's like the next thing on the agenda was basically we had made an agreement to actually resolve this from a prior motion from in July.
Do we have a copy of it, Paul?
And we did of what?
Of this agreement.
Well, from the prior meeting in July 21st, a motion was actually approved for a memorandum of understanding between Delvista Towers and Delvista Road. And regardless of the fact that I had made several attempts to have something placed in writing, Delvista Towers has not been forthcoming. In fact, instead of getting a memorandum of understanding for us to approve or discuss today, I received an email of resignation from the office. So that's how precarious it is. And that's why I can understand from the participants here to take responses to say that this will be taken care of later and will be tabled. How much comfort is that the association's affairs will be taken care of now as is before something bad happens? Because we made a promise before we had a motion on the table was approved, and and with that motion, Delvista Towers as the entity that actually hired the existing employees had a responsibility for the agreement of that motion to actually approach for us to have an agreement of the working terms, etc. And nothing has been done. In fact, at this point, I will move to that point of the agenda, and I will ask Regina and Louise what happened to that, which is actually number 5 on the agenda. I'll circle back since agenda items 3 and 4 will be muted. Let me not confuse the attendees. Let me explain myself. After the correspondence, the next things that we had on the agenda, we had number 3, which was the review and discussion of proposed code of conduct. Okay, we'll get back to that. But since we're already having this discussion, what is germane to this discussion was we had number 5 on the agenda, which is approval of the memorandum of understanding between the management office and Delvista Road Maintenance. And then item number 6, discussion on approval of payment scale to management office, inclusive of retroactive payments to date. Now, these two items 5 and 6, will be the items that are basically mute because there is no memorandum of understanding, or is there? Louise, Regina? Hello? Hello?
Did you have a copy of the memorandum, Paul?
I'm waiting for the memorandum. I haven't received any.
Okay,
is
so
there a memorandum of understanding?
We have to table those items, correct?
We already tabled it on July 21st for a memorandum of understanding. And the draft, I made a draft proposal of listing the job description, the items that are the tasks that are completed to administer road maintenance. And I copied Carl Perkins, the president, and the last response I did get a reply from the association's attorney needing confirmation of what I needed to have done, and that confirming that she had received from me all the information that she needed. The only thing else that she needed was that, and this is, I quote from an email correspondence from the association's attorney, she needed to get a confirmation from Carl Perkins so that we can actually confirm the memorandum of understanding.
I don't know anything about it.
Guys, serious now. We can talk from here till tomorrow. We right now operate illegal. We have a checkbook, we have liability, we have everything, and we operate illegal. We need to hire immediately a licensed manager, and we talk about the employee what quit after, but no money can move from this account, nothing can be done. This is operate illegal. We can do whatever we want. We need to hire tomorrow immediately a manager. I don't want this our building to be responsible and getting a lawsuit from the townhouses. You don't understand. We are in adventure. We are in adventure. We are.
I don't think we have a quorum. Do we still have a quorum here?
Why we're getting serious questions, so we don't have a quorum?
What is going on here?
Luis, Regina, I don't think he's not quarreling, or he's basically.
No, I said, is there a quorum? Did we lose anybody?
No, Luis is still there. It's
okay.
She's still there, and I would like to have hear an answer from Director Luis, who is actually a vice president of Delvista Towers, as to what's the status of the memorandum of understanding. Why was the information not provided to the association's attorney so that we can have that memorandum of understanding formulated as we agreed to within that 30-day period? Director Luis?
Yes, I'm having a problem with the microphone. My understanding is it was sent, the agreement that was signed and that was presented to you, a long time ago, that was sent to the attorneys, and my understanding is that it was under consideration, or etc. But this was a signed agreement previously. With all the list, you saw it, you were sent it with all the list.
As far as there was a draft that I created the draft, which was of the existing job description, correct? And I sent that to the association.
No, there was one that was created by Vanessa, and you complimented on her.
Correct.
You complimented her for writing it, and
Correct.
My understanding is that's the one that was the memorandum, and that it was sent out. You got it, and I believe everybody else on the board got it.
No, okay. Okay, so I draft that memorandum using the description of the items that were provided by Vanessa, and I sent them to the attorney, to Nicole, and I copied Carl Perkins and the association's attorney. She responded confirming that she had in fact received the descriptions and the details of it, and confirming that she had everything that she needed from Delvista road maintenance. That's my understanding. And And the last pending issue for us to proceed was that she stated in reply to me that she needed to hear from Carl Perkins to proceed. And that's the last information that I have. So I was hoping that you had some news on that.
I have no news on it. I have no further information. Last time, what we had said.
So as you can see, we have a problem. As they say, Houston, we have a problem that the way the association we can't operate this way.
Paul, you have a problem because you have two employees who accepted conditions of employment as part of responsibilities with the Delvista Road Maintenance Organization. They have now unilaterally dictated to the board what they will or will not do. That DRM, the townhouse owners, have been relying on this, and there's a long history of reliance. And you have pulled the rug from under their feet and have left them without representation of something that was at least a meeting of the minds. You don't have to have it in writing. There's a meeting of the minds here, and there's a long history of reliance by those homeowners with Delvista Homeowners Association. And right now, Danny's absolutely right. You've created, not you, but they have created liability. You can either fire them and get a new manager to come in and new employees to come in and assume those responsibilities. But you just can't arbitrarily pull the rug from under their feet and saying, we're not going to do what we've been doing for the last 20 plus years. And Regina, you've been here longer than I have, and Louise, this has been the understanding between DRM and our homeowners association. You can't just pull the rug out from under their feet and say, now you're on your own. That's the problem. This is not a little matter. This is a major matter right now.
Al, let me reiterate.
No, listen to me. You're getting a 13% of the budget from that homeowners association. And you have just decided, not you personally, but two employees are dictating to you what they will or will not do.
Okay, Al, I want to reiterate. They are doing their duties as they have always done it for the last, I don't know how many years, 34, whatever. It continues. We are here as Delvista Road Maintenance Board members, not towers.
But your answer, but
and
that answer,
you have a fiduciary duty to that road maintenance organization, which means you've got to be looking out for their best interest, whether you sit on the other board or not. That's the problem, Louise.
And I am telling you, their interests are being considered and completed as always.
So what is your response to the fact that they said, right now, we're no longer representing the road maintenance organization?
And nobody accepted it, and they have continued their duties. It will be taken care of.
Please tell me for the record, how do you know that? How do you know that?
Paul, it is after 8. The meeting, it was called till 8 o'clock. We have other things I'm going to have to leave shortly.
Louise, answer the question. You say you know they're fulfilling their obligations. How do you know that personally?
Well, Vanessa prepared the notice of meeting, and she's been working with Paul.
Oh, to answer that.
And the checks were provided also.
Right, and she's been signing checks. Friday. She's been doing her duties. Paul, you were working with her as of today, I think.
Well, to answer that question,
he was.
Yes, she reposted and it was redrafted.
To answer that question, the responsibilities.
It is getting late.
The responsibilities in terms of her or the office or Mr. Dutcher doing their job, it has been rather selective. For example, today I have requested, just to be specific, that they had sent another blast information to residents. It's gotten to the point where the sentiments have been communicated to me that I'm actually begging them to do their jobs, and they will decide the ones that they wish to do. And because the property manager has already made it pretty clear that
Oh,
he does
that's not fair. You wrote to
It-
Vanessa and thanked her for her
Yes.
immediate response.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
not fair.
Let me finish what I'm saying, right? In terms of the responses as being rather selective in terms of what they wish to do, because after today, I sent a request to ask her as a follow-up, and the responses being that the response is not the way you communicate with an employer. It's more of in the nature that it's a favor. That's the response, and there is no, and because I've sent requests asking for example, for this meeting at the beginning of this meeting, and these are things that we're doing for the association, and where Regina asked about a packet. I asked for a report from the office in terms of the issues with Ideal Tech, and for the payments, etc. I have not gotten a response back from the office, and so I cannot describe that as doing their jobs according to the way it should be. Good. Yes, I can see your hand waving,
Okay.
Dan or Judge
Okay.
Millian. Yeah.
My question is to all the three of you. Do we have right now a licensed manager for this Delvista Road Maintenance Association? I like one of your guys put a motion on the table, and you're going to provide an answer in the next 48 hours. That's my question, not what happened, not what's going on. If we have a licensed manager under this association, the Delvista Road and Maintenance. That's basically what I'm asking, no more and no less.
Yeah. So as we can see that the directors are from Delvista Towers. There are some answers that we need you to provide in terms of being forthcoming as to how we proceed, because even in that resignation letter that was sent to me, Luis, it's not about me. When the resignation was like, how do I wish to proceed? It's the question is, how does the association wish to proceed? So this is not, these procedures are bigger than the individual persons. These procedures are bigger than you, bigger than I. These procedures are basically about us looking about the fiduciary responsibility for the members of the association, whether or not we're in accordance or not. It's doing the association's business. So that's right now, it's not being done because.
Well, Paul, here's the problem. Louise and Regina, if something is done by any of these people who have resigned on paper that creates liability, they don't assume responsibility. They have a document that says we resign. So they do something that brings liability upon either Delvista Condominium Owners Association or DRM. They've resigned. They have said basically we renounce not only any obligations, but any responsibilities, which leaves you as directors for both the Condominium Owners Association and DRM as liable. That's why it's not good enough to say, well, they're continuing to do. They are not. They have legally, on paper, resigned their responsibilities, but not only their responsibilities, but their liability. That's the problem. This is why this is a critical matter that you need to answer today and answer what you're going to do about it.
That's a very valid point, Judge. And I'm adding my disagreement to the procedure as is, to the association records, that I am not in agreement. I am not responsible as a director. I'm not in agreement with the dereliction by the directors of Delvista Towers of what they have done. It's as I have no support to provide in that direction because I disagree, and with placing the association in such a perilous situation and direction, and in terms of the Delvista Road portfolio and the affairs of our neighbors, the Delvista townhouses. So, Regina, Luis, before we move on, so I will add to the records that that we have spoken to the directors who are present here, who are from Delvista Towers, which are Regina and Louise, and I've added to the records that as a director, whatever situations in terms of liability that comes our way in terms of non-compliance for having a for the portfolios not being managed by a licensed manager as the statutes required, for any issue that is presented on the associations in terms of custodial managing of the records that need to be provided according to the statute. I am not in agreement with the fact that there is no one that is actually assigned to the portfolio. I am adding to the record that I am not in concurrence with the other directors of the fact that the manager that we have with the association who is licensed to manage a portfolio selectively decides when he wishes to engage and be responsible and when he wishes not to be responsible for the road portfolio. It's an untenable situation. So
let's hear from Louise and from Regina.
That's right. They're not going to say anything. Unbelievable.
What I'm going to say is I have an appointment and this meeting was called for 8 o'clock. So Paul, I regretfully tell you, I have to pull out. I cannot. Thank you.
Yes.
What?
So we don't have a quorum. I'm leaving too.
That's right, ladies. Both of you are skirting your responsibilities, but it's on the record that you were on notice and you were told about this problem. And right now you're leaving the meeting to avoid providing answers. Both of you have now assumed responsibility for a situation that you have sworn to uphold and defend the rights and the fiduciary obligations that you have, not only to us as an association, but also to the Delvista Road Maintenance. Nobody's preventing you, but both of you have skirted the language and you're both on notice, and that's on the record.
Good.
Okay, so Director Regina and Director Luis, if you're leaving the meeting, are you leaving the meeting? So I will adjourn the meeting and proceeding in a. Okay, all right. So the meeting continues. We'll continue. The meeting was adjourned we'll continue the meeting, but for the records to be under statute, that the meeting ended at 8:25 p.m. and we'll now proceed in an open townhouse discussion format, which is out of the association's records. I wanted to actually bring to the participants here attention that we have a situation with the gate in which whenever your vehicles are passing through the gate, that the lever is actually falling on the vehicle and actually causing damages to the vehicles.
Really?
From the reports that I have so far, what I have found was that there was a cable that was attached to the security to the scanning bars at the gate that's actually causing the gate to have the reoccurring issues as they stand, and Unfortunately, the Delvista Towers directors have left because I needed to have answers from them as to to get some information about the third-party cameras that were attached, the third-party cable that was attached to the cameras, or to the not the camera, to the scanner. Because failure to me getting the information, I will actually deactivate the devices myself if these devices are illegal, because I need to know in terms of for privacy. I have a responsibility for the both for the owners of towers and townhouse to know what's going on in terms of what's being scanned. And I'm getting a report of a scanner that's been scanning and it's causing the gate system to crash. And I've sent several requests to the office and they don't reply. No one, they refuse to provide detailed information. I've gotten responses saying it's self-explanatory. So,
Well, Paul, thank you for that information, but I want the record to reflect that two of the directors, Regina, I don't know if you're still there, but have voluntarily absented themselves from the meeting when they were advised of the liability for both DRM and for the homeowners association. Luis signed off, and as far as I know, Regina signed off.
yes.
Okay.
Regina,
It should be noted for the record. And I think you don't have a quorum right now, so I think you have to adjourn the meeting. I suggest you have another meeting next week.
Yeah, I adjourned the meeting, and basically I was just giving that information as open town. The meeting's already adjourned. It's already adjourned.
Paul,
The meeting's over.
Yeah. So, and we will schedule a follow-up meeting. But I wanted to provide that information for the vehicles until I have that issue resolved. Okay. All right.
Oh, I
Any
have a quick
questions?
question, really quick before. Are they allowed? I've never seen that. Doesn't it have to be adjourned? Like, are they just allowed to just leave a meeting like that? I didn't know that it was ever able to happen like that.
Nadia, for the record, it should be noted, they walked out on the meeting. They refused to provide answers. They were put on notice. And yes, there's nothing that can legally prevent them from doing that, but they just walked out and they refused to participate in even making a motion to adjourn. So it'll be noted. And if they have liability for their failure to comply with their fiduciary duties, it's on the record because all of this is being recorded.
Perfect. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Basically, what
Okay.
All right, folks, you
So
know
before
why we have the dissatisfaction. Paul, thank you for holding the meeting.
Okay, great. And just as a reminder, be careful with your vehicles until I have these issues resolved. This is very important. Thank you so much. Meeting adjourned. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Paul.
Bye, Paul. Bye.